Page 18, take me out to the ball game. On the previous pages, they give you more exercises to do and sight reading things. I don't cover those. You're welcome to ask me any questions you have on them. But the sight reading is extremely important, and you need to know all the stuff in the exercise anyway. That when they're asking you that stuff, you need to know it. If you're starting to forget, it wouldn't hurt to go back through and just review book 1 again. Go through the lessons again, review everything. You have to remember all this junk. Now let's talk ball game here. 3/4 time. No sharps or flats in the key signature, so we're in the key of C major. Make sure you can do the C major scale, at least 1 octave up and down. That's what we're after. Go to my scale video on that and go to that stuff. When I do the scales, I'm doing it like the first time I sit down to practice for a day, I go through the scale. Everybody has their own practice patterns. I typically will practice multiple times a day for shorter times. And so it's only the first time that I do the scales, and the other times throughout the day I don't bother with it. I've done it. So you can do it however you want. Don't spend a lot of times on scales. Just be consistent. That is, each day spend a little bit of time on them. Now, ball game. Okay, right hand first. We're moving around a bit, so look out. So right off the bat, we got an octave, C to C. Now you can, because you have a rest, you can lift up, but I like to feel my way around the keyboard. So I learned that octave feel, and even though there's a rest, I'm still going to reach up and get it, and then collapse is the way I do it. I don't go here to here. Don't recommend it. So it's 1, rest. Remember, we're only counting to 3. That way a dotted half note gets 3 counts. It's the whole measure. Now they want you to use thumb again. I don't like that. I don't like having to go here. There's times in piano we have to do that. But I'd prefer to play it connected. And so I try and find a fingering that works connected. Now understand that there's different kinds of fingering styles. Different people teach different ones. I've had multiple teachers and they had different fingering styles. But the teacher that had the most influence on me was the last one I had, and he did it this way, and a number of people do it this way. I recommend it. Find a fingering that lets you play it all connected. So it's like, end of the first line is here, going on is here. I don't want to do that, so I got to change the fingering slightly. So how do I do it? Well, there's choices. The second measure, you're here. Instead of second finger, I could come up here. 3. I can use 4th finger. I just scrunch up a little bit, and 4th finger, and then 2nd finger here. Now the thumb is ready. I can play it all connected. You don't stay always in this nice, neat 5-finger position. You're moving around, so we're going to crawl around like a bug here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to recommend. You take a pencil and you pencil it in. Or your teacher would tell you what to do, and you do what your teacher tells you to do while you're studying under them. And then later you get a different teacher. They may tell you something else. Well, that's fine. You do what they tell you to do while you're studying under them. And you put all this information together, and eventually it becomes you. So again, second measure is here, then 4th finger, and then 2nd finger, and anywhere else in this piece I get this pattern, I'm going to do it the same way. Measure 5, 1, 2. That's tied for 2 measures, and then measure 9. The 2nd finger's on the G, I'm going to use a G sharp. And understand that G sharp's only good for that measure. So this is G natural. 1, 2. Bring the thumb down, and then reach up. You measure 13. You don't have to come all the way up in 2nd finger. We got 3 A's in a row here. You see them on measure 13 and 14 is 3. We take advantage, another fingering thing, is on repeated notes. We can use different fingers on repeated notes so we can change hand positions. It helps us. I do it a lot. So here, I don't have to reach all the way up the 2nd finger. I could say maybe 4th finger. And then I could do a 3, 2. That's kind of fun. I like changing fingers on repeated notes. Some people don't, and they avoid it at all costs. But I encourage you to get good at this. You eventually get to where you don't even have to look at the keyboard to do it. You can feel it. So I'm going to recommend you play measure 13. 1, 2, 3. Crossover. Connect that if you can. Now when you're doing this, relax. Your thumb will move quite a ways if you'll just relax. And when your thumb is down, use that as your anchor point. You can move the hand quite a ways if you'll just relax. You don't have to twist around and do all kinds of fancy stuff. Just relax and just come over. You have to twist the hand a little bit. That's fine, but don't go a long way. Try and keep it down as low as possible, or keep it down as much as possible in here. And measure 21. You're here. 1, 2. Now this is like the C major scale. So if you've been doing the C major scale, this is a piece of cake. Measure 25, then measure 26. Now if you got really big hands and fat fingers and you don't fit up in here, then you have to do that. But otherwise, use the thumb on the E flat. 2, 3. And they want thumb, and then you cross over. And then third finger, this puts you in position for what's coming up. Because we could use second finger, but now we're out of position for the next measures. Sometimes we have to change our fingering to prepare for what's coming. And that's what we're doing here. So again, measure 28, you're crossing over. And third finger, 2, 3. And I recommend a 2, 4 here. So I can connect both notes. Here. Thumb doesn't have to do both of those. 2, 4 here. Serves you a lot better. Left hand. Broken chords. 1 chord, C chord, 5/7 chord or G7 chord. Okay. Go down to measure 9. You're ending measure 8 here, and here. You just come up to here and add the C sharp. That's tricky. To go to here, you may have to practice that. 2, 3, 2, 3. Then measure 13, F sharp. 2, 3, and then back to the G7. Wasn't that fun? Let's go over to measure 21. Here, rest, and the 4 chord of the F chord, 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then F sharp. And you can use a 2 or 1, either one for the G. It's up to you what you do. Typically we use the thumb. 2, 3, and then the last line, the measure 29, it's 4th finger, then F natural there, and then a C chord. Put the hands together. This should be interesting. Here. Now again, when I first put the hands together, I'm just trying to get the notes to work at the same time. And then here, just make sure that you're resting in the right hand. Measure 5 here, rest. So measure 9, you're here. And those are quarter notes in the left hand now. You go through and put the hands together, and then go back through it. And it's going back through it to get rid of the hesitations that really takes the most time. It can take a week, it can take 2 weeks, who knows, that everybody's different. However long it takes, I don't care, I'm in no hurry. Get rid of the hesitation so it's a steady beat. Go slow if you have to. But it's got to be a steady beat at somewhere. Use a metronome if you have to, but a steady beat, no hesitations. You can speed it up later. Once you can do that, we add the articulation, which they really don't give you any. Connect them, like in the first line, lift up for the rest, otherwise connect it. Lift up. You can follow the words. You see the commas and periods and so forth in the words. The end of a sentence, lift up. It's like a phrase. So at the measure 4 here, lift up to go on to measure 5. It's like taking a breath. And again, from measure 8 to 9, go ahead and lift up. Lift up. Here. Measure 16. It's the last measure on page. Where are we? Page 18? Okay. It's here. Lift up. I told you here we've been connecting it. Now you lift up. So if you want, you can do that. I don't recommend doing that right off the bat. You need to be able to do this. So, but when you add the articulation, that changes it to that. The left hand, I do an chuck chuck. I connect the first two beats and then disconnect. Chuck chuck, chuck chuck. They don't have to be real short. They can just disconnect. It depends on the mood of the piece. Sometimes I'll play it one way and another time I'll play it another. Who knows? It just depends on how much wine I've had to drink. I don't know. Then the dynamics. Well, the dynamics apply to the melody, and in this case it's the right hand. So whatever you think MF is, mezzo forte, moderately loud, sort of loud. The left hand needs to be in the background. Keep it in the background. And then they put in a swell there in the last line on page 18. You see between the measures 14 and 15, the hairpins. They put the hairpins above the staff because there isn't room between them because the words are in the way. It doesn't matter. It applies. Just go up to about a loud. Right there. Look in the middle of the swell, the hairpins. See what note or notes are there. That's your target. That's where you're after. That's where I'm at. And then come back. You put in a swell. The left hand, just keep it in the background. It's the right hand we're after. Then on measure 24, we've been sort of loud, now we're going to go up to loud. Da, da, da. Now we're loud. Now we're happier than ever, I guess. You come up a little bit in the left hand when you go up to loud. I'm playing this sort of moderately soft. Well, the end, you're going to go down to soft. Here, I want to hear this, the last two measures. I want to hear this while I'm playing this. Here, I want to hear that all the time. They've added pedal there. I disagree with it. Don't use pedal there, please. Just scribble out the pedal mark. Forget it. Speed, well, it's a happy song. It's brightly, so be bright, I guess. About where I was here. So take me out to the ball game. Don't copy me, you play it at your speed and it has to be accurate. Don't go faster than what you can do accurately. Now at the top of the page, on page 18, they say find the C major scale in the right hand. I'm about to tell you where it is, so if you don't want me to, don't listen. But if you look on page 19, starting on measure 21, forget the rhythm, just do the notes. We played the A twice, doesn't matter, but just that's it. That's the scale. And I think that's what they're looking. It's the only place I see in the book that even comes close to C major scale for the right hand. I'd like to play this with you slowly. Let's just double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do any dynamics. I'll give us 3 counts, and let's just go slow and make sure. One hand at a time if you need to. Now remember, we're not performing this. We're just checking notes and rhythms. So you learn it first, then play it with me and check your. 1, ready, go. rest, rest.